Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. Hope everybody is well. I know there's lots of crazy weather across the country, so stay safe, be careful, especially when driving. California is expected to get a ton of rain, so just my little PSA: drive a little bit slower, be careful. And yeah, I was actually there was no rain, and I was walking to the airport this weekend. I think it was when I was heading to New Orleans for NFL honors, and I witnessed a pretty crazy accident, bumpers flying. A guy ran a red light, another guy going straight through on a green, and T-boned him. But hopefully, both of them are okay. I did speak to the one guy who went through the green light safely. Um, was trying to go through safely, but yeah, did my Good Samaritan, gave him my number as a witness because he was not at fault. So, anyways, my little PSA, just be careful when you're out there driving. But we'll get right down to it. So it is the off season. The new league year has not officially begun yet. There's a little bit more to go, but for all intents and purposes, the 2024 NFL season has come to an end. And for the 49ers to contend coming up in the 2025 season, they have got to secure the offensive line. Watching Philadelphia and them take down Patrick Mahomes 6 times for 31 yards in that game really showed that this defensive line is going to be powerful and it's going to be dominating for some time to come. So if the 49ers want to run the NFC, they are going to have to shore up this offensive line. Now, I do understand that having all of the skill players is going to help Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey wasn't out there but for 4 games, so I think getting rid of the ball more quickly, checking down to Christian McCaffrey. He'll also be out there picking up blitzes. He picks up blocks, pass protects much better than some of the younger guys like Jordan Mason, Isaac Orendo. They kind of got down to the nitty gritty in the running backs room this year. So with those injuries kind of happening, Christian McCaffrey was really missed out there because of those blitz pickups that he is able to do, the choice routes he runs. So that is going to make a big difference. Also, when you look at what's happening with the wide receivers group, Deebo Samuel has asked for a trade. Brandon Ayuk is coming back from an ACL injury. Now, let's not forget the injury for Brandon Ayuk happened in week 7. So a full week, a full year will be again week 6 or 7. So he may not be able to participate in the offseason program, especially at week 1. He could be back earlier than that, but generally, guys that have ACL injuries, and he didn't just have the ACL, he had some other knee damage in there. So for him to come back, it's probably going to be a complete year before he feels like himself on the field again. So there's going to be some acclimation time. Him coming back with his restructured knee to be able to be the player that he was before. It's not going to happen instantly in week 1. So there is going to be some time. That being said, Joan Jennings is a guy who proved he could be a very vital part of the 49ers offense, but he's going to be looking for a new contract, as is George Kittle. So the 49ers have to get deals done with Joan Jennings. George Kittle, they're going to want guaranteed money along with Brock Purdy. So looking at that, it's looking like the 49ers again are going to have to lean heavy on Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason is he is a restricted free agent, so he will likely return. But the 49ers also have uh, Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Rendo, and Israel Abanikanda. So Israel Abanikanda and Isaac Rendo are going into their second year. Now, both of those guys were on the field a little bit. Not the best at pass protection, not the best at knowing what their assignments are. In Kyle Shanahan's offense, every offensive player has a job and it's different on every play. And that's what makes them so effective. But if one person at the 11 doesn't do their job, it makes the play not happen unless the defense makes a mistake. So, that being said, Christian McCaffrey is again going to be a key part of this 49ers offense. Now, so I did a little looking around at running backs in 2024, and they're kind of having a renaissance. Out of the top 16 players, yardage wise, in running backs, 6 of them were in playoff teams. So 6 of the 14 teams that went to the postseason, 6 had a running back that was in the top 10, and then another three were in the top 16. So nine players out of the top 16 were on playoff teams. So you've got Saquon Barkley of Philadelphia, Derrick Henry in Baltimore, Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit, Josh Jacobs, Green Bay, Kyron Williams, Los Angeles Rams, Aaron Jones, Minnesota, Bucky Irving, Tampa Bay, and then those are in the top 10. Now, 14, 15, and 16, Najee Harris, Pittsburgh, Joe Mixon, Houston, and James Cook, Buffalo. These guys were all on playoff contending teams. So I feel like it was for a couple years, running backs were getting devalued. They weren't getting enough money. And Christian McCaffrey redid his contract last year, wanted to be paid as the top running back in the league because he was in 2023. But I think he's set for a kind of a resurgence again in 2025. When he spoke to us at Locker Cleanout Day, he said his Achilles are fine. It's just recovering from the knee injury, and he feels like he's just going to be able to get through it during the offseason and be ready for week one. That's his plan. So, yes, things can change, but looking at where we are with the 49ers, I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Orendo, Israel Abanikanda, Jordan Mason. It'll be for those four guys. Elijah Mitchell is an unrestricted free agent. I don't think they keep him around. He played in 27 games over his 3 seasons with the 49ers, just has been unable to stay healthy, which is really unfortunate because you watch Elijah Mitchell hit the hole and he is so much acceleration and he's able to, get past into the second level. Really a fun running back to watch, but just has had such bad injury luck. I just don't think the 49ers re-sign him unless it's for a 1 year kind of prove it deal. But looking at who they have, those four guys, I just don't think Elijah Mitchell is on the team in 2025. So I do think it's a running heavy offense again in 2025. Of course, yes, I would like to see, I'm sure as you would like to see as well, Kyle Shanahan spread the ball out a little bit more. Yes, you want your best player to have the ball in his hand, and that is Christian McCaffrey. But you also want to make sure that he makes it all the way through to the most important part of the season, which is December and January, and hopefully the final game of the season. But looking at all the running backs throughout the playoffs, I mean, the teams that dominated had really good run games. So it kind of proves again that running backs are a vital part of the NFL. And looking at Saquon Barkley, I kind of was rooting for Philadelphia because I didn't want to see a Kansas City three-peat, but also because Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's a guy who has shown that he can carry a team. Jalen Hurts, obviously MVP of the game. Saquon didn't have a huge game in the Super Bowl, but he is the reason that they got there. So I wanted to give the defensive player or the MVP to the defensive line, but you can't split it up between four players or a group. But really, the defensive line played so well, and that means really. And you look at also the Los Angeles Rams. Jared Verse has been a force to be reckoned with. That Los Angeles defensive line is also really tough. So the NFC defensive lines have gotten much better. So you look at what the 49ers are going to have to do to contend. It's to not only have all their skill players on the field because that makes a huge difference. It balances out the offensive line, but the offensive line has to be upgraded. And I think that's with center. I think you've got Trent Williams coming back healthy. I think you have Dominic Pooney at right guard. I'm not so sure that Colton McKivitz is the right answer at the right tackle. Not a bad player, but maybe there's an upgrade there. Aaron Banks is a free agent. I do not think he returns. The 49ers, as much as they pay a lot of star players, they just don't pay offensive linemen a huge second contract other than Trent Williams. He's really the only guy who's gotten a hefty contract as an offensive lineman. You look at other guys like Laken Tomlinson, Mike McGlinchey, those guys have gone on to make their big contract with other teams. So I think part of that is Kyle Shanahan's trust in Chris Foerster because he does do such a good job. And it's also having younger, athletic, mobile offensive linemen. So I think one spot that they probably do need to upgrade is potentially Jake Brendel. It was unfortunate that back in 2019, Weston Richburg had that really catastrophic knee injury. He tore his patellar tendon, which is what Drake Jackson has had work on. It's a really tough, tough injury to come back from. Weston Richburg ended up retiring. Drake London is a guy who I'm really interested in talking to. I know he's posted a few recovery videos online. Want to know how his recovery is going because the 49ers need to get a guy opposite of Nick Bosa to play well. And, Drake Jackson showed that he could be the guy, but he just hasn't been healthy enough. So hopefully he has spent the offseason recovering. We've seen him a little bit during the season in the locker room, but not around a ton. I know he's doing his rehab, of course, with the 49ers. He's stuck around Santa Clara. Just haven't seen him around the facility a ton, but hopefully he is, back at it and recovering and getting ready for the offseason with the 49ers. All right, so this week is pretty quiet in the NFL. There's going to be some talk where Debo potentially goes. The combine is at the end of the month, so that starts on the 24th. So there's kind of a little bit of like a week of kind of quiet time where there's going to be some rumors going around. One rumor that I was kind of interested in seeing how just kind of what happens is Travis Kelce. Is he going to retire? Now, I do go to Tight Ends University, so we'll get a better kind of understanding of what Travis Kelce feels about his football future about that time. I kind of compared it to Trent Williams after the loss in the Super Bowl. And, Trent Williams was like, I don't know whether, I think it was after the NFC Championship game when Brock Purdy got hurt. You know, was he going to retire? Did he still have it? I think that disappointing loss, the emotional, I guess, cost that it takes to play through so many long seasons, then to get to the final game and to lose and be disappointed. And I know Travis Kelce didn't have a huge game, but there's mental anguish that comes at the end of a season, losing the championship game or you losing the Super Bowl. And I think players just don't know what they want to do. Trent Williams was like that. He didn't know whether he wanted to retire or not. And then now he comes back and he wants to play, until through his 40s. He wants to be the longest playing left tackle in the NFL. He wants to get another Pro Bowl. He wants to set records. So, I think it's just coming off a loss like that, especially such an embarrassing loss for the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think that, players get to a point where they just don't know what they want to do. So I think Travis Kelce plays more. It's not like he had a huge drop off this season, tough Super Bowl loss, but I do think he plays. He's healthy. He's, energetic. I think he can bounce back. And you look at, guys like George Kittle who are a little bit younger, but still kind of, hitting that tipping point of the career where they do see a little bit of drop off. Of course, we haven't seen it in George Kittle at all, but the 49ers do need to take a look at that tight end position and get somebody in the building who is set to take over for George Kittle when he is ready to take a step back. So that's all I got for you today. It is Wednesday. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and I'll come back with another update for you guys soon. I did post a bunch of videos. Steve Maiocco on what he thinks about paying Brock Purdy, Rich Eisen on what he thinks about paying Brock Purdy, quick chats with Kristen and Kyle Juszczyk, Sydney and Fred Warner, Eric and Mindy Armstead from the red carpet at NFL Honors, which was such a fun night, although hot and muggy and sweaty, but a fun night. All right, guys, let me know what you'd like to hear, what you'd like me to talk about, any questions you have. Subscribe and also listen to the 49ers Talk podcast with Matt Maiocco and me. Talk to you guys soon.